Good afternoon. There has been a Western saying, we see an opportunity in every calamity. And actually, KFC, once embroiled in a scandal on its food quality, is now getting to find an opportunity and to sustain its success in the industry in China. Ladies and gentlemen, we are the team from Lingnan University, and my name is Peter. Please allow me to kindly introduce our group members.
I'm Tom.
I'm Frankie.
I'm Kevin.
And here's our agenda. Today we're going to kick off the presentation by telling you the background of the company, and then we'll move on to talk about the situation analysis. And after this, we'll talk about the perception map. And then, according to the situation analysis, we will propose some strategies that can meet that kinds of situation analysis. And finally, we have got some future projections of the company. So KFC. KFC actually embroiled in the instant chicken scandal last year. And it was accused for adding antibiotics into its chickens to fasten the growth period of its chicken. And actually it has raised some question about the supply chain management of KFC. So what kinds of options that KFC is going to pursue? There are several ways. The first one is to whether KFC will consider operating its own farms to ensure the adequate and quality supply. And the second one is to outsource other kinds of chickens from the local farms in China. The third option would be to import the chicken from the US to ensure that a more high quality supply will be given to the consumers. So here's the situation analysis. We will conduct a SWOT analysis, and the first part will be about the strengths. So actually, KFC is the first Western restaurant chain to be opened in China in 1987. And so it enjoys a first mover advantage. It has established a pretty good customer loyalty, and that can help to sustain the branding and the competitiveness of KFC. The second point would be the economies of scale. After establishing its store in China, it can enjoy economies of scale through bulk purchase and quality discount, and that can help to maintain the operating margin of KFC. The third one will be the marketing and advertising. KFC can make an effort to market and advertise its product. Even though after scandal on its chicken, it began to direct its effort in introducing burgers instead to the consumers to divert people's attention from the chicken to the beef. About the weakness. Actually, the outsourcing method that KFC is currently employing has its weaknesses. For example, it cannot ensure a high quality. It cannot have full control on the quality of the chicken and the raw materials, and that can affect the reputation of a KFC. The second point is of critical importance. That is the crisis management of the senior management of KFC. Actually, after the scandal has come to light, the instant chicken scandal, and then the senior management did not respond swiftly to that crisis, and that adversely affected the reputation of KFC. The CEO actually apologized only after 2 months after the scandal came to light and the social media publicized that event. And that is really a manifestation of a poor crisis management. And I will now move on to let my groupmates to talk about to you other external factors.
Thank you, Peter. And here, our team believes that actually there are some external factors that the KFC can seize. Firstly, there are rising of middle class, especially in China. According to a statistic reported by the government, there will be nearly 50% of people in China become middle class in 2030. It means that customer will not only ask for a cheap product, and there are not anymore price sensitive. So the customer actually require high quality products and healthy products that will benefit themselves. Secondly, there are preferences for foreign brand. Actually, traditionally, we always believed that the product of foreign brand or overseas are good quality. We can see that apart from tasty, they can give a assurance to customer. Also, customer usually think that foreign brand are superior. It will give them some represent the status, and these are good consumer experience. Actually, there is no doubt that some of the external factors will hinder the development. Firstly, there are crises of confidence. Actually, after the light of candle, the consumer do not have enough confidence to consume KFC's product, and also the investor lost their confidence in investing their KFC chain in China. Secondly, the development of social network. In the past, the internet, the social network is not developed well. So the message or some bad news cannot be transferred to the different people immediately. And also, the development of social media worsen the word of mouth effect. That means when someone gives some bad message or fake message, the company cannot control. So it is difficult for the company to face the challenge. Thirdly, the competition. There are so many fast food chain from the overseas market. For example, McDonald's and different brands. They will compete with KFC in China. Apart from that, some Asian and local fast food shop also compete with KFC with their local food and some products with Chinese elements. So we see so many threats and weaknesses faced by KFC. How can we to improve it? It will be mentioned in our strategy part. Here in the perception map, we can see the product of KFC usually are tasty, high in tasty, but actually they have some often have some safety problems of their foods. So we will our strategy will maybe this is the direction of our strategy to let the quality become the high quality side.
After hearing about the situation analysis, I would like to recall you of an event happened to KFC. In 2013, the H7N9 bird flu had a huge effect on the KFC's profit. They underwent a large loss, and the recovery took a long time. So should KFC use the outsource strategy, or should they build their own farms to breed chicken in China, or should they import the U.S. chicken, or should they just buy the chickens in China? And how could they recover their brand image? For answering this question, we had 3 acts. What does it mean by 3 acts? It means react, interact, and connect. And react and interact both will result in the connect impact. And it also stands for the short-term, medium-term, and long-term strategies. For the react part, we believe that KFC should build their own farms in China. Firstly, it saves the cost. It won't save the cost immediately because they are going to invest to build the farms. However, in the long run, they could save the distribution channels and logistic, so at last they could save the cost. And secondly, they will have a better quality control by building their own farms, because they could have their self-testing instead of asking the suppliers and trust the suppliers to test the quality of the products. Since the quality is the KFC's core competence in competing with some other Chinese restaurants. And besides, we think they should build the farms and buy chickens in China. It will be so much more costly to import chickens from far USA. And besides, the lead time will be much shorter if you just buy the chickens from China instead of shipping it from USA to China. Because of the lead time, they will have a less risk, and it will be easier for them to manage their inventory level. And again, we believe that the localization of KFC is quite successful in China. Besides the Chinese flavor, the company owned instead of franchising, and the improve the employers' customer service skills, I think it's very important to have an O2O, which means online to offline strategy. It's a way to make good use of the internet impact in China. I know in some other Western countries, the fast food restaurants won't usually deliver the food to your home. However, in China, to be localized, you can order the food on the internet, and then you could get the food delivery in a very short time. This is a hierarchy of effect of customers. The customer will first aware of the product, and they become interested, and they will become desire. They will have action to buy the product. At last, you need to find a way to cultivate the loyalty of customers. So how could KFC cultivate the Chinese customers? Here is the indirect part. We think it's very important to enhance the customer relationship management. First, since we know the case of the instant chicken, it takes the KFC China 2 months to respond to the crisis, to apologize. The 2 months time is too long, and it's costly. The customer has already lost their loyalty or lose their confidence in KFC. We think they should react immediately when the crisis happens. However, we don't want the crisis to happen. We want to stop the crisis before it happens. That is the quality control, which will be talked about later. Second is the internet networking campaign, internet marketing campaign. For example, after the crisis, KFC wants to build its image on the high quality chicken, high quality food. Internet is a very good source. Since recent year, the social media like Weibo, WeChat, or Renren is so famous, and the impact is so strong in China, especially among young people, which are the most likely customer of KFC. And thirdly, we think they could have different interaction activities. For example, there's a milk company in China called Mengniu, and a few years ago, people claimed that the milks of Mengniu have illegally added some more chemicals. However, after the crisis, the company invests and to invite a lot of customers to go to their factories or to go to the place where they own those cows, so they could see the quality of the milk and see how the milk is come from. And lastly, we think it's very important to address on CSR, because the customers and the environment are the two very important parts, two very important shareholders of KFC. The customers go to KFC because they believe the quality, the American style quality, is better than some other Chinese restaurants. So they should take the responsibility to keep the quality of the food and to ensure that the customer had the healthy food. Besides, they could have invest in technologies. When they breed those chickens, they could use less light and less water, and this is very important for the environment. And later my teammate will talk about the connect part.
Yes, thank you. For the connect part, actually, the core problem is the quality control problem. So how can we address the issue? Let us visualize what is KFC facing now. So actually, KFC now is facing an internal failure cause. So what have they done is about like a self-testing scheme, and then they want to choose the best sellers, and even they want to choose the international suppliers, and then go to China and then supply the products. And then for the external failure cause, that is when they sell some so-called bad products and some unhealthy products because of the contamination, and then there will be a high opportunity cost, like customers will not like to buy their products anymore. And these costs are somehow very reactive. Why? Yeah, as we can see here, the cost is very reactive because this is a very reactive strategy because as you can see here, the self-testing is done after the supplier gives the products to KFC, and then the opportunity cost cannot be reduced with this kind of strategy. So there will be a high increase in the failure cost. So how can this kind of phenomenon be solved? We would introduce a proactive strategy. And for the proactive strategy, like what Calvin have said, we would like to open our own farm. So when KFC becomes the supplier, and then KFC can provide its training, KFC can also ask some external advisory board or external monitoring organization to monitor the progress of the food, and this can reduce the appraisal cost. Appraisal cost is the cost that can be prevented before the production, and the prevention cost is the cost incurred during production. So for during production, initially the self-testing scheme is done after the supplier supplies the food to KFC, but now the self-testing scheme can be done during the production, and so this is very effective. So what can KFC further done is that for example like what Kevin said, there can be some customer interactions to customers' immediate response to the prices, and this can reduce the internal failure and external failure costs. And we believe that with the proactive strategy to supply the products at the beginning, that can reduce the overall cost in the future. In the short run, there may be a little bit increase in the operating cost, but in the long run, as you can see here, a lot of costs can be prevented. And for the time, actually, the decision to open a farm is very short, but the effect, that is to take the effect to have a large reduction in the prevention cost, may take a long time. So in the short run, there may be a reduce in the revenue, but in the long run, as a lot of costs like appraisal costs, prevention costs, and internal external failure costs can be prevented, there will be a high increase in the profit margin. And then actually these kind of strategies are interrelated. So we will implement the React strategy first, and with the interrelated strategy, and eventually there will be a connect strategy. So this is the order of our strategies.
Actually, we also consider some of the risks that may possibly be involved. The first one would be the long payback period. In operating its own self-owned farms for KFC, it incurred a large amount of capital expenditure, and that can cost the company a lot. And so we believe that can have a negative impact on the liquidity of KFC. The second point will be the legal risk. In case of a reputation or scandal, that can affect the company, and that will also increase the legal costs and the legal fees that the company has to pay. So as the KFC features chicken, we believe by imposing our strategies that we proposed, we hope that can help KFC to transform from a chicken to a phoenix. I'm not sure whether you realized that is really a phoenix. That's actually written by my groupmate Kelvin, and that was pretty impressive, I think. So by these strategies, we hope to transform KFC from a little chicken to a phoenix. That's all we have to say. Thank you very much.
We can now start a 15-minute Q&A.
Thank you for the presentation. My first question is, you talked about building the own farms, right? And then you say a lot about you can control the quality. It's easier because you own it, you build it, right? Okay. How can you convince the consumers that by doing it yourselves, KFC, by doing it themselves, they can actually do a better job than the local suppliers can do in China? How can you convince the consumers?
I think there could be two steps to it. For the first step, it's very important to tell the consumer that what is the KFC's quality. I mean, you need to differentiate KFC from some other fast food Chinese restaurants and tell them that the quality is the core competence of KFC, and KFC will achieve for this high quality level of their food. And secondly, only telling them that you think quality is important is far from enough. You need to give them chances to see by their own eyes that the quality is really being controlled. And that is our strategies are interactive, because the customers could have some different interaction activities. Maybe you can have chances to go to the factory by your own and to see the whole process of how the chicken will come to your table in the restaurant.
I'll ask the same question, but how you can convince your shareholders that it's better. So, in particular, if you talk a little bit about the costs in terms of how they would impact the short term, because it's an ambitious program you have. And you say that quality is the core competence of KFC, which you also said in your presentation. If I was to suggest that serving food in restaurants is the core competence of KFC, not necessarily farming, could you convince me that you're up to the challenge of diversifying in this way, in terms of vertical integrations, that you think you can run chicken farms, or you can manage chicken farms as well as you manage restaurants?
Actually, for your second question is about how can we convince them that we would have a good supplier, that is, we will be a good supplier, and then we can manage the farm. Actually, we can use maybe like the joint venture model to co-partners with some local Chinese farms, so that we can tell the public that we are confident enough to run the farm. And for the first question about how to address this issue and then convince the shareholders to accept our proposal, actually this can be done. In short run, we can tell them that there will be a high increase in the operating costs, but in the long run, a lot of costs can be prevented. Think about the situation. We do a proactive strategy, and then we prevent a lot of costs. Abatement costs, prevention costs, internal failure costs, external failure costs in the very first stage, but not at the stage when the crisis begin or when the goods are supplied to our factory. Instead, we do the so-called monitoring and do the control at the very first stage, so we can ensure that the self-testing scheme is done at the early stage and all processes are done with a clear map.
And just to push a little bit more on the strategy you have, can you talk a little bit about what you think the challenges will be of setting up a series of chicken farms.
Sorry, you mean
The challenges of actually establishing your own network of farms that you manage yourselves.
Actually, it takes time for KFC to establish its own chicken farms, as it takes very time to allocate human resources and financial resources to be operated, and that will be quite time consuming, and it takes time for the measures to come into effect. And actually, another concern is that the financial concern is also a problem. The capital expenditure spent in setting these kinds of self-owned farms may be significant, and that can also have an impact on the liquidity position of the company. But then we believed, after considering the long-term profit and the profitability of these measures, and that can also rebrand ourselves as a high quality and well-recognized brand. Therefore, we believe that can support the company and the board of directors to pursue these kind of measures.
I would like to add up to the challenges of making your own farms. Besides the internal challenges you just talked about, I think, especially in China, you will have a big external challenge, which is the political challenge. Because it might be hard for you to go through all the different signatures, policies, so you'll get aligned, and you could have your own chicken farm, and you could grow your own chicken. It might take different steps to finish all these process.
And thirdly, because we lack the experience, as what you have said, and then as we are not aligned with other experiences, the farmers, and then there is a risk. So we suggest that we may come up with an idea of the joint venture model to partner with the Chinese farmers, so that we can make use of the experience and then leverage the idea and then manage the farm.
Maybe I want to just follow up a little bit about you mentioned about the need for time to build their own farms, and in business time is very important. And in the meantime, what would be the transitional strategies before all the farms are set up?
Thank you for your question. Actually, this question has been discussed in our preparation, and we think that actually there's a contingency plan. Actually, we think that the concept of asking the international suppliers to come to China and then and as a suppliers is a viable option, because actually, as what my members have said, the people nowadays in China, they would prefer the foreign products more than the local products. So they will think that if the goods are supplied and produced by the international suppliers, they will think that the products are secure and good. So in the short run, if that's the case, and we will have this kind of contingency plan.
Actually, we believe apart from that, we can, as we have been working with the local suppliers, and we have built a strong partnership with the local suppliers. Therefore, we can, as a contingency plan, we believe we can still work with other suppliers, and then after we have established our own stores, and then we can consider operating it on our own. Yeah, we believe that can be one of the options.
And I just want to turn the question a little bit. I think this scandal seemed to reveal possible shortfall in the key business risk management, not just about supply chain, but possible shortfall in overall key business risk management. How would you recommend the board? What would you recommend the board to do at governance level to improve this?
We believe the company has to react and respond swiftly. As we mentioned, after the scandal came to light, the senior management only responded and apologized for the event after 2 months' time, and we think that is not acceptable. And so, with the prevalence of social media, the pressure from the young people and social media has been increasing, and therefore we believe we have to react swiftly to apologize and to meet the expectation of the general public.
and then to let them to try our product again, we can actually, in the short run, we can sell some free hamburgers or free breads and free foods, and then to promote our products or give a large discount. In the short run, that may lead to a large increase in cost, but in the long run, as long as they have confidence in our products and they will again purchase our products, and that can this can convince the board of directors that in the long run, and then the profits will increase.
Besides react quickly and different promotion campaigns, we still think that the most important is to prevent this same crisis to happen again in the future, so that we have our supply chain management and the quality control.
You mentioned you think that the market, as the growing middle class and more affluent, the market will sustain a higher price and will be prepared to pay a higher price for the quality product. I wondered if you could have an estimate for me as to what you think you might be able to charge in terms of a higher price on your product, such that you can pay for the development of the farms.
Actually, as we know, the China economy has been growing very fast, and with the increasing pace of urbanization, the middle class has been rising, and they are more willing to afford a much higher premium to pay the quality price. And therefore, we believe we can make some references to other Western restaurants chain in China. For example, Burger King, as they target on a relatively moderate, medium, or high-end market. And we believe we can make some reference to that chains, and then we can adjust our price accordingly to compensate the increasing cost for the self-operating store.
Just a follow-on question to your previous answer on contingency plan. So just want to make sure that your contingency plan is to import chickens right away until you build your own farms, and then you use the local chickens. Is that correct? Is that what you're saying?
No, actually, our proposed contingency plan has two aspects. The first aspect is we could import chickens from USA, but the second one is, since the KFC is now outsourcing on the chicken on its chicken supply, so we're not going to just cut it immediately to end our outsourcing strategy, but we'll continuously to change from outsourcing into building our own farms.
And so the second choice would be a top priority. Yeah.
We've got 3 minutes left.
I have a question. If during the interim you are going to try and increase the quality of the supplies that you're using, supplemented with the imports that you just explained, if you succeed in that, which is the interim strategy, do you still need to develop your own farms? And if you don't succeed in that, do you think the cost of failure a second time round will jeopardise the development of farms?
Would you mind repeating the question again?
Just looking at a little bit more at the interim strategy. So the interim strategy is to work on your existing supply chain and to bring some additional imports in from the US to ensure quality. My question is, if that is your interim strategy for the next few years, and that succeeds, do you still think you need your own farms?
Actually, the building of our own farm is to ensure the crisis management scandal. Because in the past, in 2003, there is a SARS, and then there's a scandal, and there's a Sudan red scandal, etc. We think that no matter we ask the best suppliers to come to China, or we import from the USA or from other sources, that's not enough. We want to have the best quality and for the best crisis management control. So we want to build up our own farm so that we can make the control in the very first step, to be a proactive strategy, not to react to the other suppliers.
I mean, the decision will be adjusted from what information you get year by year. But actually, if our contingency plan doesn't work well, it shows that we should build our own farms. And if it works well, then we have more decisions, we have more choices to make KFC to be better.
So if you start introducing chicken from overseas, what if 2 years down the road you build your own farms and you start switching and your consumers tell you that no, I don't want local chickens, I want you to continue to import, what would you do?
Actually, that's what I just mentioned. Importing chicken from overseas is just a backup plan. Top priority for the contingency plan would be to purchase the chicken from the local suppliers, and that is more economical, and that we have established strong partnership with other suppliers locally. Therefore, we believe that can help. And overseas import is not really the best option, we think.
Thank you very much. Team from Lingnan University.
Thank you very much.